Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon, and we're gonna give you another daily dose of Dungeons and Dragons and drama. We're gonna talk about TSR games and kind of check back in on what's going on since the dogpiling of Ernie Gygax on Twitter and the media reaction to that. There's been some movement on the TSR side of things. They actually put a press release out yesterday formally announcing their new PR manager. And there's a statement from Ernie Gygax in there too. But it also appears that Giant Lands is no longer going to be published under the TSR brand. So we're gonna talk about that, try to make sense of this situation. Before I get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture, news, views, and rants, guys. We're over 206,000 subs. Thank you so much for the support, guys. Greatly appreciated. And yeah, let's talk about TSR games a little bit before we read this press release. A couple weeks ago, it was announced that TSR was back. They were back, or at least a company that is reminiscent of the original TSR. Of course, the original TSR got absorbed into Wizards of the Coast, and Wizards of the Coast got purchased by Hasbro. So the original TSR no longer exists. This version of TSR includes Ernie Gary Gygax Jr., and the CEO is Justin Lanasa. And the first game that they were going to publish was Giant Lands by Stephen Deinhardt. We're going to talk a little bit about what is potentially going on here. But I was actually very excited to see TSR come back in some capacity. Now, they announced that they were coming back, and there was another publisher that was using the TSR brand to publish their version of Top Secret. That publisher is now Solarian, not TSR, even though they're at TSR Games on Twitter. Now, it's confusing. So basically, for those of you not keeping score, this is old new TSR. So we had another TSR that had been using the TSR trademark for like 10 years. They left it lapse, as I understand it. And the new TSR with Ernie Gygax Jr. and Justin Lanasa scooped it up, and they want to start publishing old school RPGs again, including Star Frontiers. And, well, it was supposed to be Giant Lands. We're going to talk about that. I don't think that's happening now. Anyway, they changed their name. They're no longer TSR. They're now Solarian. So, you know, it's been a mess. Let's put it that way. To put it lightly, TSR announcing that they're coming back, or at least an incarnation of TSR, or a company that seeks to emulate the original TSR. Let's put it that way. Coming back has caused a great deal of turmoil in the tabletop space. And, you know, we speculated before, and I can't prove this, but it does seem like there were some people within the industry that were waiting for TSR to return. Ernie Gygax Jr. did an interview on Sci-Fi For Me TV. He did a live stream, and he said some stuff that people took to mean that he was transphobic and homophobic and against the LGBTQ community. Now, I don't know if people actually took it that way, because I had watched the interview, and I don't think that is what he meant. But even media outlets like Gizmodo took the opportunity to pounce on Ernie. Twitter pounced on Ernie. We had a lot of very random usernames pop up, and within a day or two, new TSR found itself banned from multiple conventions, including Gen Con, a convention that Ernie Gygax's father, Gary Gygax, founded in Origins. So all this is going down. There's a lot of back and forth on Twitter from the TSR Games account, as well as the Giant Lands account, and everything just kind of blew up, and then it settled down, kind of. What had happened was they made an announcement that there's a new public relations officer. They put a press release out about it. And they also put a statement out from Ernie Gygax. Now, if you go out to new TSR's Twitter account, you'll find that it's no longer there. Instead, if you go out and look, you'll find there are other fake TSRs that are popping up. This whole thing has it's just beyond insane. Beyond insane. And the speed at which it happened, I'm not saying that Wizards of the Coast was involved or that people working at Wizards of the Coast were involved in the dogpiling, but it's very, very weird that all this happens after the press release goes out and people were lying in wait, apparently, for Ernie to say something. So anyway, let's go back to this press release. This was dropped yesterday. So this is pretty interesting. TSR appoints new public relations officer and responds to social media mismanagement. Yeah, the one thing I will say, and what I said before when this happened, when the dogpiling happened, when all these rando Twitter sock puppet accounts were attacking TSR, is that the TSR account and the Giant Lands account were throwing kerosene on the fire. I'm going to be completely honest. I mean, I don't think they should bend the knee to the Twitter outrage mob, but I think what happens when you feel like you have to respond to everything is you basically give these people more rope to string you up with, and that's what they're looking for. They're looking for more ammo. And it got pretty heated, and I was kind of like sitting back like, guys, don't do this, just walk away. Well, they didn't. So now there is a new PR manager. So they put this out yesterday. TSR has replaced the individual that was serving as both social media manager and information technology manager for TSR and the Dungeon Hobby Shop Museum. This individual was also the social media manager for Giant Lands, Justin Lanasa, and Ernie Gygax. All posts on social media accounts for TSR and Dungeon Hobby Shop Museum should be considered invalid. All posts on social media accounts of Justin Lanasa and Ernie Gygax should be considered invalid. TSR is in the process of recovering the social media accounts of TSR, the Dungeon Hobby Shop Museum, and the personal Twitter accounts of Justin Lanasa and Ernie Gygax. This is coming from Michael K. Hovermail, Public Relations Officer. Now, I do remember seeing that tweet from the TSR account that there was going to be a new PR manager. And it seemed like things kind of died down a little bit, but it must have gotten pretty bad back channel for them to actually put another press release out. Ernie Gygax put out a statement. I wish to speak directly to the transgender community regarding the incident. The individual who was speaking to you on Twitter does not represent me or TSR in any way. Trans people are always welcome to play with us. Everyone is welcome at our table. So whoever was running the Twitter account seems to be the same person that was running TSR and Giant Lands. And that is, again, if there was a critical error in this whole situation, I would say it was how those accounts reacted. You can react one way, I guess, if you're an individual, but if you're speaking for a company, sometimes you're better off just walking away. Just saying, I'm not playing the game with you guys. No pun intended, but I'm not playing this game with you guys. So it gets even more interesting. So Giant Lands announced on Twitter that they are no longer going to be released under the new TSR. Giant Lands will no longer be released under the new TSR brand, TSR LLC, and our team has decided to move in other directions. We appreciate your support and wish them the best. Does this mean you are all going to be released with Wonderfilled or somewhere else? It's a Wonderfilled production. Yeah, if you go out to the website has now been rebranded, the Giant Lands website, as Wonderfilled. Instead of TSR, we've got WFD. So I'm more like WTF. I have no idea what's actually going on here. You're still with TSR. Wonderfilled is TSR. I think Wonderfilled is. I want to say Wonderfilled is Deinhardt's company. I'm not sure. I looked into this before. I'm not sure who owns what, but my understanding, just from what I know of it, is that Giant Lands is basically its own thing, and that they had agreed to sell it with the TSR branding. I guess. Heartbroken, it had to be this way. I've been a fan of Gary, Ernest, and all these peeps ever since finding that orange box in my dad's closet. It wasn't porn, it wasn't a gun, it was the sublime work of TSR. Indeed, appreciate your support. Still go to the TSR page, I guess, which is now the Giantland page, and you can still buy Giantland. So this whole thing, like, I'm not sure what's going on. I'm not 100% clear on what's going on. It seems like this situation, is breaking whatever agreement that TSR had with the Giantlands people. The situation, which, I don't know where that leaves them. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I don't know where that leaves them in terms of games, because that was supposed to be their launch title. Star Frontiers, I guess, is still coming out. I don't know. But, they've really come hard for Ernie Gygax. And, look, I think, if something is going to happen something is going to happen that's going to, send the Twitter outrage mob into a frenzy, it's going to happen on a live stream. I mean, I've seen so many people say things on live streams that they wish they could walk back. And if you had actually edited that video, you might have heard it and been like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't put that in the video. Maybe people are going to take it the wrong way. I don't think anything that Ernie said, he was basically saying that D&D current year isn't for the old school fans anymore, that people are, more preoccupied with social justice and gender identity and stuff like that. And it's not really, the game has always been open to everybody. You can add or change any rules you want to. That's always been the case. And, I'm probably putting words in his mouth, but it's probably like, it's up to the individual players to change rules, not necessarily the game manufacturer to add rules or create new rule books, for exceptions to the rule. I mean, you can do with the game whatever you want to do. It's basically just to provide you with a set of rules to start, and you can take it wherever you want to go. How that came out, could be debated. I mean, I think I understand what he was trying to say, but again, it doesn't take much to piss off Twitter. And the current state of tabletop gaming right now is it is hyper focused on politics. There are people, the tabletop community is hyper focused on politics, unlike anything. I mean, even the comic book industry isn't as bad as what I've seen from some sections of tabletop gaming. Not everybody. I would say the vast majority of players are probably blissfully unaware of what went down. But yeah, Ernie, he got himself into some trouble on Facebook too, and he took this post down. He basically said he got bullied. He said he wouldn't bully anyone because he got bullied. But there were times, he got pushed to his breaking point, and he wished, he had a Tommy gun to, go after the kids that were picking on him. Of course, the media ran with that, and they were like, oh, he would have been a school shooter or something. I mean, this is the utter state of things right now. And you can't tell me that these websites aren't talking back channel to individuals at some of these game publishers or PR firms or whatever. Because look, again, I can't prove it, but who would be harmed by TSR making a comeback, or at least the TSR brand making a comeback, right? Especially when you're trying to unload the company. As I understand it, Wizards of the Coast is currently being shopped around by Hasbro. Now, I don't know who has the money to buy it, some like Tencent or something maybe. But I'm just saying, this whole situation stinks to high heaven. And I gotta tell you, it feels like somebody was lying in wait. Now, where TSR goes from here, I have no idea. I really don't. I would love to see the brand come back, but it looks like, yeah, they got a new social media manager, but I don't know what kind of product they're going to have out. Maybe they'll comment on that. Giantlands is apparently not part of TSR at this point. I don't know, guys. So it lasted less than a month before Twitter had its way with TSR. This is where we're at. This is 2021, right? So I'm going to wrap this one up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, and we'll talk later.